All right, guys, this is exciting. We're starting to move stuff to our property here in Donald, so time to clear some snow, meet with some people, figure out what we're doing. This property came with a loader. Not quite came with a loader, but the guy we brought the property off of sold us the loader for the promise that he'd be allowed to continue camping here. So he brings his family here all the time to go camping, beautiful spots along the river, and he's like, hey, what if we made a deal? What if we include this loader with the pack, with the property, but you promised me that you let my family come in here. Joke's on him. We would have let his family come camping here for free. We believe it's a 1971 Terex loader. This thing sat for months now without being moved or used. It's winter, it's cold, it's snowy. Got in here, turned the night switch on, gave her a little shot of ether, she fired right up. Now the next step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this loader, we're gonna start clearing land for a laydown area. We brought a truck trailer, a couple of pieces of equipment. I wanted that little Chinese track hoe and that little track loader. They're super handy for just moving things around the yard, placing things. So I thought I'd bring those over here first. We've already got equipment at the yard in Merritt for loading. That stuff is handy for picking up pallets. We'll bring that over, we'll get that unloaded. We'll use this big old Terex here to unload these solar light tower trailer setups we had laying around. And then we're getting some other stuff brought in from some other people. For those of you down south that don't know a lot about snow, so when the snow melts, it turns the ground into absolute mud. We're gonna roll those snow banks back. That way the sun can get into it and start drying up this. Or else we're gonna go in here next month and we're gonna try and put things down and it's just gonna sink into the mud. Vehicles are gonna get stuck. It's gonna be a nightmare. Do that little bit of work now, spend an hour or two, roll it back. Over the next few weeks, the sun can start drying it out and we're gonna have a lot easier go of it. We're gonna be glad we did it anyways. Right now we're trying to figure out where is the shop gonna go. So we talked to Travis and Tom from the log yard and they suggested this area behind us. They can move their logs, they can move their log yard a little bit that way. But why we're thinking this area is that number one, it's got 3-phase power. It's got water already right there. And it's got a septic field that already exists that we can tie into. The other one, it has 2 separate entrances. We can have one entrance coming in this way, one entrance over there. The downsides to this are there still is a log yard and a scale. And in the future, we're gonna need to expand that area over there that's on the other side behind the scales. That's a much more open space. Here, it's still about 40 acres. It's a good size for what we need now, but we know we'll grow out, which means that we'll have 2 different yards on different sides, which could cause a little bit of an issue in the future, but it sure makes it easier to get started now. So when we were over in Germany last summer for Theron's wedding, we got to go do a tour of the MAN production facility, and this is how MAN did it. They had one shop where fans of MAN trucks could go, they could check them out. They had a showroom, they had a small little service center dealership. It's what you would see as a truck dealership. And then across the road, they had the large production factory. So incorporating something like that, where this is the first factory where we can start building, it then becomes a showroom and a service center. And across the road here, we have the large production facility in the future. Replicating what MAN did may have its advantages. All right, the second option is the one you see behind me here. It's the one we showed in that first video. This is about 150 acres of spot, but on the other hand, if we would have to run the power service, we would have to drill wells. And if we build the shop in the bigger spot, when we get to the size where we want, where I want to be at the size Western Star was. When Western Star was building trucks in Kelowna, that's where I want to get to here with this property. So if we build a shop now, when we want to build the bigger shop, that shop may be in the way. Let me know in the comments. We're not going to be building this shop and starting construction until June. We still have a few months. Should we go where it's easier and cheaper now? Or do we go where we want to be in the future in 3 to 4 years? Maybe also the first shop we're building now can be a service center where we work on other trucks, fixed trucks, trucks that have been in the field. I don't know. I have been told though that nobody complains about having too much underhead storage. Maybe that's a warehouse. We'll figure it out. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think of our building plan? How should we do this? How should we best utilize the 300 acres? Hey guys, I just want to remind you that investment is still open on our website. What we're going to be doing is leaving it open for 4 more weeks. And in that time, we're going to see what we can raise to go towards building the shop. So
the more we raise in that time, the bigger shop we can build. So that's basically going to be our budget. We've got the land, we've got our expenses at the current rate covered for the next couple of years. We've got the money to cover to order the parts for the next couple trucks we own that we're building. And we're ready to get going. The last thing needed is just this shop, and I'm excited. So the more we can raise, the bigger shop we're going to be building. The reason why it's 4 weeks is straight up because if we want to be moved into this shop before winter, we need to start the concrete and start building this shop in June, which means we need to put the deposit down, order the materials, and that takes 6 to 8 weeks. So we got 4 weeks to see how much we can raise. So go to the website, check it out. If you like what Edison Motors is doing and you want to support us, we hope that you'll invest. Of course, but just thanks a lot. I can't wait to build a shop and finally get going into production. Last step is almost here.
Also, I want to put it out there. This is still an active log yard. We are not moved to Donald yet. You can't stop in and see Edison Motors. We're just starting to move our stuff there. But this is an active log yard with trucks. They've been having some people that show up and say, hey, I wanted to see Edison Motors. I thought this was their new shop. We still need to build the shop. We're not here yet. There is safety issues if people are coming in here trying and check it out. Please don't come to Donald and visit us. You won't see us. You'll just kind of be in the way of the log yard. One of the previous videos, we said we need employee housing for the staff that's got to move here. And Golden's a smaller town. I don't want to miss up the opportunity to hire someone great because we don't have a spot for them to stay. Like, that hurts us. And we're not going to be spending millions of dollars on these cabins like some people in the comments suggested. We're going to find a way to build it for what we need in a phase 1 kind of operation, as cheap and as economically as possible, using local things. Like, this is a log yard. We can get logs. Travis, that runs the log yard, has this sawmill that we can build boards at. And we got Curtis here. If you remember when we were down at Texas A&M, Curtis, your thing with Brick and Mortar is doing these kind of housing things. Like, you got a lot of experience in this. What do you think?
Brick and Mortar Ventures is a venture capital firm focused on construction technology. And so I'm personally an investor in Edison Motors. I saw this as a great opportunity to come out and understand the resources that y'all have here and the types of constraints and types of freedoms that you have here. And really, I just want to help y'all have more options to choose from, because good decisions come from a lot of good options. And it's been really inspiring to, meet a member of parliament, on the first day and see how much support there is here, learn from your team on, what they want and what a phase 1 could look like. And, really you just need the accommodations fast and economical. And then we can start to get more creative once that's satisfied on, how could we use some of the lumber and byproduct here, and you got a great gravel pit. So there's a lot of opportunities to use like proven technologies and bring in some other stakeholders from this part of the world. The University of British Columbia has some great research going on for sustainable building materials and insulation. So I think that could possibly be a fit.
So for the size of these shacks, so we're thinking like little 1-2 man shacks things?
In our conversation, we kind of came up with a good simple approach would be 2 bedrooms and a office/lounge would be a good kind of floor plan for really you would call it a modular home. You could call it a tiny home because it's on wheels. But that flexibility of that approach, I think, would make a lot of sense because it's a redeployable asset. And yeah, I mean, you have a lot of members of the team with significant others and children. So I think the 2 bedroom is going to be the minimum. And, you're going to get economies of scale of getting multiple. But, we may skip over the option of a trailer completely and just, build in place. But just options to choose from.
Okay, so for perspective, we're right behind the sawmill that we were just filming the last clip in. But right back here is a log cabin that the guys were working on. So once we get some initial needs met with some mobile, maybe some prefab units, some small tiny homes, we could start building on this. Well, why don't we take that sawmill, the head rig unit, and we rip apart some camps and we could just start laying some cabins together. There's some cool options that we could do.
Yeah, I think being able to physically mock things up would be really interesting. And that's something you do in large scale construction is you do mock-ups. And the fact that you've got these Lincoln logs just hanging out here, that's a pretty special opportunity.
I kind of like the idea. We go out, we grab a load of logs with one of our trucks, bring it in here, we rip it up in the sawmill, and we take it into the dry kiln and cut it, notch it, and we can build some log cabins. Use some local gravel for the concrete and the floor.
The fact that someone brought to your attention that there was a, underutilized sawmill here and existing, lumber business here is an incredible opportunity to meet your needs. And it's really not that much of a challenge to use the resources you already have here because there's infrastructure and stuff. This is pretty much the dream scenario of being able to utilize local resources to build.
I am here with Rob Morrison from the Conservative Party. He is our Member of Parliament in Ottawa. It's kind of cool. He came out here to meet with us, see what we were doing, and kind of see how he could support us in achieving Canadian manufacturing.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to be here. We're in Donald, and Donald is happy to have you here. I've talked with the regional director, very happy. Innovation, that's what we need.
Sorry, the town we are in is Donald. So I think we just bought the old town site of Donald. I think we technically bought our own town here. We're not technically golden.
But what's wrong with your parents' backyard?
It's getting a little crowded. I mean, we'll miss my mom's cooking though. It is really nice having our Member of Parliament come out here. We're getting that government support. Honestly, that he's willing to come out here, ask some questions, see what Ottawa and the Canadian government can do to help us and how we can. You wanted to find out how you could have more innovation like what we're doing.
Right, we've lost it in the last several years, 9 years for sure. When we push away innovation or we fund other countries to do our innovation, what do we have left? Nothing. And really what I want to see is I want to see people working. Like you could have in this huge chunk of land that you have, 200 people working. That's taxpayers. That's people with good jobs and innovation that you're doing with the electric trucks, the logging trucks and that are so much more efficient is unbelievable. Like I said earlier, I want to buy one, but you're sold out. But it's really impressive. And the fact that you are going to be bringing talented people here, providing them with a great job. I know housing is an issue, but you've got some plans for that. That's great. And just getting this, I want to see you start building. Let's go.
We want to get building. Once this snow behind me leaves and we can actually start putting in the foundation, we're going to put that in, we're going to build a shop, we're going to hire some more people, and we're going to start building trucks again.
Yeah, and we need to, as a federal government, we need to be accountable for taxpayers' dollars. Right now, when we spend $80 billion on a factory that shuts down with nothing, or $80 million on another one that never got started, where's the accountability? I don't want to be throwing tax dollars out to something that evaporates. I want to see something.
Are you telling me that your plan, once the Conservatives take, isn't just to fund foreign companies for billions and billions of dollars? Like, isn't that the plan? You're just going to hand over billions to overseas and hope for the best?
Not at all. In fact, be proud to be Canada. Be proud to be a Canadian. That's what this is all about. And I mean, like I was talking earlier about the flags, people proud to be in Canada. That's what we need. And with innovation like yours, imagine what you can produce.
What's your view on how permitting and zoning works here?
Well, it's fantastic. Like, that's why you're here. Let's hear that. That's a perfect story. Like, you're here because the permit is you build to the BC building code, which you will.
Yeah.
That's it.
What happens if I don't? They'll
tear it down.
Exactly, but they're putting it on me as a business owner to make sure I follow the code. I don't have to go and apply to the government to get extra permits to do something that's already allowed to be built.
On your own property.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So is that how it should go? If somebody owns their own property, they should be allowed to build what they need to build on it?
Exactly. Follow the code.
Yep. That's how we bring Canada manufacturing back. We just let people do it.
Bring it home, as they say.
Hi everyone, I'm Jill Dutai, Executive Director, Golden Community Economic Development. Edison Motors is joining us here tonight at the Local Advisory Committee for Columbia Shuswap Region District Area A, and we are so happy to welcome them to the area and help us pioneer clean technology in Golden and Area A. People are excited, diversity, good jobs, interesting work, as well as some really neat products. These guys have a great idea and we're hoping to support them as they run with it.
We just had our meeting at the local Golden Civic Center / movie theater place, I think, / town hall, and it went great. The entire group of people we met with, fantastic. They're all very chill. They're all very business friendly. And after sitting down with talking with them, I can definitely think Golden is the place to be to do business. This is going to be awesome. We picked the right town.